What is the biggest mistake most people make on their path to financial freedom, and how can you avoid it? Hey guys, my name is Ariane and this is my better half, Chris. We created this channel so good people like you can get to financial freedom faster like we did. We retired at the age of 27 and now we can film videos from random mountain in Italy, in Seceda. So today we're going to talk about the biggest mistake people make, and Chris will tell us all about that.
Yep, so one of the biggest mistakes we see recently is in the social media era, we keep seeing the highlight reel, right? When someone posts something on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok, they usually show their biggest win or their greatest success or all of the cool stuff they get now, the cars and the dream vacations and the family and everything that you think you want, you see on the very short summary of their life. And because we only see the highlight reel, a lot of times we might be missing other pieces of their life. So we had this thing, right, where we go to these events and we see the people on stage and they seem to have it all together, right? They've got what we think we need, right? But we're only so focused in, we're tunnel visioned on that one piece that they're showing us at the time that we think will solve all of our problems without looking at the rest of their life. Usually, if you follow the exact steps someone's taken, you will get a very similar result that they got, right? Which can be good if you want their whole life. So that's the first step, right? Is look at the person you are putting on a pedestal, because we tend to put people on pedestals, and see if you want all of it, not just the piece that you're really focused on, not just the piece that you think you need for your life right now. Look at the whole picture and see if that's a picture you'd be okay with.
Right. So expanding on what Chris said, do you want their relationship with their spouse? Do you want their relationship with their kids? Do you want the way they spend their time? Do you want to travel that much to go to all these business stuff?
Do you want the fitness they have or the money they have? Like all the aspects of life. Do you want their faith, right? All of it. Look.
Right. And we're not saying you can only copy the person, one person. That's not that's exactly the opposite of what we're saying. We're saying think critically and look at their whole life, because if you just blindly follow everything they talk about, that's probably what your life is going to look like. And if you wanted that exact life, then great. But if you don't, you might get to the end point or close to the end point and look back at all the years and all the hours and all the time you spent away with your family and all that and see that, oh, this is not the life I want. You know, we actually kind of went down that path, right?
We did.
We
yes.
speak from experience. We kind of did this thing.
Ooh, that's cool. Let's go do that. They're doing great. We should do great. Let's do it. Wait, I didn't want the rest of that. You can't have a piece? Oh, wait.
Right. And again, we're not saying that you can't carve your life the way you want it to look like. Mm-hmm. What we're saying is look at the entire picture. Don't just blindly follow, because you have to carve your life that you want. Mm-hmm. Because it's very rare that someone else has the exact life you want. Mm-hmm. Like, we are individuals. We're different people. We have different preferences and skills.
When you look at the whole picture, right? They might have the life you want in this little frame they show you, but it's very rare that the person has the entire life you want if you look at the whole picture.
Right. And that's one of the mistakes we make. Most of the things we talk about here are because we made a mistake. We saw that, oh, this is the real thing, and we want to share it for everyone who wants to listen, and for us in the future if we forget, and for our kids in the future if they want to see our lessons. So that's kind of why we share these things.
Yep.
So
you actually brought up one point that I want to touch on really quick, is that you don't have to pick one person. You can pick several people to emulate. So when you look at the whole picture, if this person has this piece that you like, you can start to follow their advice for that specific section of life, where you might need someone else to fill in a gap that they particularly had that you need a strength over here. And you can follow like this person for relationships, and this person for finances, and this person for insert what you do for a living. Like, you can pick multiple people and make sure that you're getting advice from people who are good at the piece that you need from them.
Right. Yeah, we actually do that. We have different coaches and mentors, and we go to different masterminds for our relationship with each other, for our future relationship with our kids, for our relationship with our parents, for how to lead a team, right? It's all different things.
Because it's hard for one person to have all of that, right? It's hard for one mentor to have everything you need.
Yeah, and even if they have it, it's hard for them to teach on it, because if you're a master of everything, you're really a master of none, right? Like, you can't teach everything, because then you really didn't spend much time perfecting your your method of teaching, your curriculum, or all of that kind of stuff.
So to bring us back to the highlight reel, everybody shows the best parts of whatever they're doing when they post it on the social media or they're talking to their friends, whatever it is. People usually present the best parts of things and leave out the rest, or the less than ideal, I should say. Maybe not bad, but not what you need.
Right. And then the second point to this conversation is, okay, now that maybe you are more adept at seeing, okay, like this is the big picture and I do want this specific thing from this specific person, then the next question you want to ask is, do I want the choices they made to get there, right? Because you can have everything in life, but usually not all at once, not all in the same order, right? So usually it requires someone to make certain choices, and you can get really fit. You can get all the money you want. You can have a 7-figure business. You can have a 7-figure rental portfolio. You can do all of that. But usually not all at once, all at the same time. You pick one first. Look at all the choices they made and see if you actually want to make those same choices to get to the same destination they're at right now.
Within the same time frame. Yeah. I mean, we did that, right? So we had that scenario where in the beginning, when we first started a relationship in our 20s, right, we didn't do anything lavish, right? We had peers who are buying new cars and they're buying fancy houses and they're going on trips and they're doing their giant weddings because they got married and they have the $50,000 wedding and all. Maybe, I don't know if that's a reasonable price. Is that
$100,000
I don't
wedding.
know. Anyway, they're doing all the big things that we decided, right? The choice we made there was to postpone that for a little while so that we could improve ourselves, so that we can improve our careers and make more money, so that we would have more cash to invest in cash flowing assets, so that we would never have to do it again, right? We chose to postpone that in the beginning of our lives so that we could, we're early 30s at the time of this film, right? We can do that now forever. We can be here and not have to worry about anything, right? We can buy the €6 hot chocolate and not care, right? Because we sacrificed early. I call it a sacrifice, but we made the choice early to postpone those things to get our snowball rolling.
Right. So to expound on what Chris has said, right? In our early 20s, we lived like broke college students, even though I was a speech pathologist, Chris was a software developer. We started, making 50, 60K a year and then quickly got to 6 figures a year each. So by the time we, quote unquote retired, we were both making 6 figures each.
But still living like broke college students.
Right. So we were spending maybe $2,000 a month, period. That's 24 grand a year.
Including rent, including food, including transportation, all of the stuff was about $2,000 a month.
Yeah. Even though we were making more than 200 grand a year. And then even as we grew that, as we invested, as we built our businesses, we made 300, 400, 500 grand a year. Most of that time, we still lived on 2K a month, right?
But what were we doing with the money?
We were investing it. We were putting it into cash flowing assets so it would keep making money for us.
Or into our skills, right? We were, in the beginning, like for our workshops, we were improving our skills so we could get raises, right? So we could get promoted, so we could improve that rate at which we were accumulating cash. And then we were buying coaching programs so that we could get better at the thing that we traded our job for. And then we started investing in cash flowing assets so that we could sustain that income.
Right. And so those were the choices that we made. But for a lot of people, that might not be the choice they want. And look, there is no right or wrong answer. We're not saying the $100,000 wedding is a wrong choice. Like, for some people, that was like their whole dream, and like their parents' whole dream, and their siblings' whole dream, and maybe, you know what I mean? Like, we're not saying it's not worth it.
Or
it's
the traveling, right? The traveling in your 20s, right? You might want to graduate and then go travel for a couple years before you start the career, right? That's not a wrong choice. It's just a different choice than we made.
Right. It's a different choice. And so we're just saying that for us, some people, say that, oh, I want to be like you guys. But for some people, the choices we made may not be the best choice for them, right?
Because it depends on what you value, right?
So give yourself permission to make your own choices, the choices that are the best for you, not the choices that other people did. Like,
or society tells you is correct, or your mentor tells you are correct.
Right. So for us, we chose not to spend a whole bunch of money in the first 10 years of our working lives because we wanted to never have to work. And not that we don't work, like, to an extent, this is work, right? Like, we set up this tripod, we're talking to you guys in this beautiful backdrop. Like, this is kind of work. But we don't have to do this work. We don't get paid to do this work. This is work we just choose because we want to do it. And hopefully it helps some of you guys. So, yeah, just keep that in mind.
And there's one more thing we wanted to bring up in related to this, right? You're now looking at the choices people made and thinking about, oh, I didn't make those choices in my 20s, so now I can't do it. Because that's the only way to do it, right? And this is a comparison trap. There's a couple different comparison traps we get caught in. One, which usually affects our younger selves, where we get stuck in this keeping up with the Jonases thing, keeping up with the neighbors. Oh, they just bought a nice car, I need to buy a nice car. Oh, my coworker just had a $50,000 wedding, I need to have a $60,000 wedding, or my wife's not gonna like me. Like that, trying to one up each other. We get stuck in that. I don't know if maybe it's a cultural thing and we just have to like one up each other in the States. I don't know. But anyway, we get caught into it.
Oh, it's not just the States.
Oh, not just the States.
I lived in the Philippines and New Zealand. They do it too.
Yeah, so we get caught like comparing ourselves to the dude standing next to us and wanting what they have, so we're going to try to do a little better than them, right? That's a trap. Don't compare yourself to the person next to you in that kind of upward spiral way, because it's a trap. It gets you caught into spending more than you think you should on something you probably don't even care about, right? It might not align with your values. How often does the person next to you have the same values you do?
Yeah. And unfortunately, it actually exists a lot more in the entrepreneur space. So for some of you guys who are in the business world, entrepreneur world, that one-upping, unfortunately, I don't know what word to say, but it's
hyper-competitive.
Well, but it's like sometimes you forget the things that are most important to you, right? It's like, oh, I want to like build, now I have a 7-figure business, now I want an 8-figure business, and now I want $1 billion a year business. Like, that's great.
But why? Which is the more important question.
We're not saying it's bad.
No.
But we're just saying don't get sucked into it, that's all you remember, and you forget all the other things that were important to you, right? Like, still take care of your health, still take care of your spouse, still take care of your family, and build the $1 billion business. That's fine. Just do all of it. Just don't get like siloed into just
tunnel vision,
building that $1 billion business.
Yep. And then the other place we get caught comparing ourselves is we start comparing ourselves to our mentors, right? Somebody's looking at us right now, where we are currently, and thinking, oh, I could never get there. But you shouldn't be comparing yourself to us now. Like, our step 9 is not the same as our step 2, which you might be at right now, right? So you should be comparing yourself to yourself a second ago. Your next step, not, oh, I'm nowhere near where they are. We've been doing it a little longer, right? It took us a little longer. You put in the same amount of time making the same choices, and you will get there too.
Right. Maybe right now the step you're at is you're watching a lot of educational videos so you can learn more about what you actually want to do in this investing world. That's okay, right? Like, even learning about analyzing properties. We watched hours and hours and hours of videos of just someone else analyzing a property, and then we would download their calculator and follow along the videos with them in the beginning. Right now I can do it, well, not with my eyes closed, but very fast. But in the beginning, it took, we have videos about how to analyze rental properties and short-term rental properties. You can find it on our channel, and you can download our calculators, watch it 10 times, follow along with us. You're not going to get it right the first time. We did not.
And don't expect to. That was the thing. We didn't do it. Don't expect to get it immediately. It's okay, right? Don't compare our step 9 to your step 2. They're different, and it's okay.
And as a final remember, enjoy the journey, right? Like, it's so surreal being here on the top of this mountain. We've actually been in Europe for 2 months now, and this is the last week of our trip. We've been going to this mountain literally for the last week. And it's crazy that we can do that without having to worry about the money, because passive income pays for it because of the choices we made.
And we bought a lot of €6 hot chocolates. Yes.
Right. When we were broke and we could not afford €6 hot chocolates, we were just as happy. We were just as happy taking silly photos and talking about silly things and walking along the same path as the people who could buy 1,000 €6 hot chocolates.
Yeah, right. It's a lot of times we think of these choices as sacrifices, but they're not necessarily, right? They don't have to be a big negative. They're just a choice, right? And those choices are setting you up for the future that you desire, right? Whatever that is for you. Don't look at it negatively. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah. And we actually respect the people who are in step 2, right? Because we were there. Like, we don't look down on these people. We were like, oh, that's awesome. Like, they're on step 2.
And they're making progress, right? It's awesome.
Yeah. And we reminisce and think, remember when we were there? Like, it's fun to think.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's our video. It's a little bit different than our normal one. If you liked it, click that like button, and then maybe put a little comment on maybe what type of videos you like watching.
Yeah.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you can be the next person to see our next video. Who knows where it's gonna be?
If you like these videos, maybe we'll take more out here. Otherwise, see you in our studio.
Yep. See you guys. Thanks for watching.